Shalom. So, about 4 months ago, I did a showcase of an elevator which uses item frames, so these things. So the things I'm currently spinning my head around to control a piston in an elevator. The way I said it makes it sound all fancy. Let me just destroy my spinny head. So I said I'll do a tutorial for a week later, but then the whole world decided to go into lockdown. And I was stuck in my bed for like 4 months straight. Honestly, I'm telling you now, I did try. I tried to get out of bed so much, but it was like my head was just glued to the pillow. I just couldn't move. And now me and my bed, we have grown such a good bond together. Anyway, so here I am, only 4 months late, so it's not such a big deal. Finally doing a tutorial for it. Now, I've made some improvements, as that was a very, very big elevator for what it did. Like, literally between then and now, I made the most realistic elevator and the biggest piston door in Bedrock. So I guess you could say my IQ has gone up by 1. I officially have a 1 brain cell brain. Yeah, I'm still working on getting 2 cells. Anyway, so here it is, the updated item frame elevator, version 2, V2. Hello everyone, my name's Tonka, welcome back to another redstone video. Bloop. So here it is, the item frame elevator version 2, and I have worked so hard to get this thing to the size. It's midget, it's basically an elevator on a sugar-based diet. I mean, it's just so slim. I mean, it's literally 6 wide and 8 long. Now, this is also the joint smallest with the smallest 8th floor elevator on Java as well. So I don't think it's possible to get this any smaller. Now, let's just say this elevator is a little bit quirky, as how I managed to make it so small, I've sort of had to cut some costs when it comes to how this thing works and how it looks. So anyway, this thing works the exact same way as the old elevator did. So if you want to call it, you just put this to the floor that you are on and the elevator will slowly make its way to you. As you can see, I've had to cut the budget a bit. I couldn't afford safety inspections, so sometimes this door does open before the elevator actually arrives, but unless you have a 1 meter child, there's no way who's going to get in there. So this elevator is not for 1 meter tall people. If you're 1 meters tall, I'm sorry, but you could fall through and kill yourself. It's not good. That's not the way you want to go. So when the elevator's here, to go to a different floor, you'll have to do is toggle this torchy thing to the floor you want to go to. So I want to go to the 8th floor, the very, very top floor. Once I've done that, you get inside the elevator, you practice some darts on your target block. You also admire this piece of redstone dust, and then, believe it or not, you get shot up right to the top. Now, the doors do open every time you go onto a floor, but they shut straight behind you anyway. So when you reach the top, sometimes it does tend to do this. And what this is doing is it's waiting for the actual elevator to know where on earth you are going, as it doesn't know yet. It takes it a while for the elevator floors to actually know whether or not you're meant to be there. It's sort of like, well, once you're here, you can go to another floor. So let's say I'm bored of this 8th floor. This target block is just horrible looking. It's disgusting. I want to go all the way to the 5th floor, because that's way more better. I can have a great admirer of the green grass. So you just toggle it to the 5th floor, you wait a little bit for the doors to close, and you'll make your way downwards. There we go. As you can see, it does do this for a bit until it actually knows what floor you're going on. It just doesn't know. It takes a while for the system to know, but once it does, it takes you straight there, and now I'm on the 5th floor. It's pretty simple. I mean, if you don't know how to work it, then I suggest you go back to primary school. Or if you're in primary school now, then go back to nursery. And if you're in nursery, then get back into your mum's belly. So there is a world download in the description below, or if you want to build this in your skyscraper or whatever, as it is so darn small, then I suggest you stick around for the tutorial. Honestly, it's not as complicated as it looks. Just because it's all so tightly together, it looks extremely complicated, but I promise you, it's actually pretty easy. Every single floor is exactly the same thing. Now, believe it or not, there's going to be no item list for this. I mean, if you're mad enough to build it in survival, then you are crazy. I mean, you should deserve a medal for, like, completely sweating Minecraft right here. This is not for survival. It's just not. So if you wanted to know whether or not it's going to fit in your skyscraper, or if it's going to fit in the tent you're taking camping this year, then I suggest you pay attention. So starting off, you're going to need to know where your actual elevator is. So you want to build something like this. So this is your ground floor here. You need to make a 3-block wide platform and a 3 high tall wall. And to do this all the way up, so you have 8 different floors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically, you just want to copy this in whatever blocks you want. Now if you take a look over here, those over there are literally just these. So they're these here. So that should give you a reference of where on earth your elevator is going to go. After that, you want at least a 5-block gap between this and then the bottom of the pit that you're digging in. Make sure you do give a little bit more breathing room though, you don't just suffocate in there. And then it's going to be 6 blocks wide and 8 blocks long. Now I recommend you give at least a bit more room, so you're going to be flying this around a lot, and you don't have to be squished and having to destroy stuff every time you have to go to a different section. As honestly, you are going to have to. Okay, now finally, let's get on with this monstrous beast of a build. That's a cool word, phrase, thing. So starting off, we're going to be keeping it very simple, and all you have to do is you want to place an item frame, not there, but here, on every single floor. You don't have to go ahead and put a redstone torch inside of that item frame. You don't have to place a dropper just to the side of this block like so, so it's facing upwards. You don't have to come underneath it and place a flopper, and place a dropper facing down into that one, so it's like a back and forth thing. You want to place a block just on top of that dropper like so, with 2 pieces of redstone dust here. There should be a little space here for you to place in that one. You want to place another block just behind this block here, so the redstone signal's there. No, not signal. The item frame is there. The comparator is here. The comparator should glow if you placed it in the right place. You want to place a block just in front of that comparator like so, with another piece of redstone dust on top of that, then an observer facing into this block here. So every time you fiddle around this, you just should hear these droppers clicking. You don't want to go and repeat this on every single level. So after you've done that, it should be looking something like this, with one of them on every single level. You don't want to go into the top dropper of every one of these levels, so that the dropper that is in line with this comparator here, you want to place in one singular item. It can be literally any item from dirt all the way up to the netherite block if you're feeling like you want to be rich. Just place in every one of these top droppers. And there we go. So then what you want to do is just coming down to this bottom layer over here, you want to place in a block to this block like so, with another block underneath that. You don't want to destroy this temporary block and place in comparator coming away from this dropper, so then if you're going to head and click this once, the comparator should turn on. You then place another temporary block here with a sticky piston just in front of that like so, with the block on its face. Destroy this temporary block. Place a block to the side like so, so there's redstone dust block, and then you place a comparator coming away from that block. It should turn on once again. Then go ahead and do this to all the other layers. So like again, place 2 blocks here, destroy this temporary block. Comparator coming away from that dropper. If you go ahead and nudge this, it should turn on. A temporary block here with a sticky piston facing upwards, a block on its face, redstone block, and then another temporary block here with a comparator coming away from it. It should glow once again. Go ahead and repeat this to every one of these floors. There we go. Now I suggest you do go ahead and just twiddle every single one of these just to make sure that you have done it correctly. So once you twiddle every one of these, you want to go back and see that every single comparator here should have a light on. If it hasn't, then just go back to that floor and double check that you've done everything correctly. So then you want to come to the bottom of every one of these droppers. You want to place a solid block here with a piece of redstone dust on light though, and then you want to place 2 glass blocks just to the side of it like so. Make sure that these are glass and that one is a solid block. Just place redstone dust along all of these and do that to every single floor. So solid block, 2 pieces of glass, redstone on all of those. And there we go. It should look something like this once you've done. So then you want to come to this line of redstone just like here, so the one that is on top of the droppers. You want to place in a block just in front of that piece of redstone dust, and then another block just on top of this redstone dust over here with a repeater set to 1 tick. You want to place 2 observers facing downwards with a block in front of its face with another redstone repeater just on top of that, once again set to 1 tick. You want to do this to once again every single one of these floors. So a block in front of that redstone dust with a block to the side over here, a redstone repeater set to 1 tick, 2 observers facing downwards, a block in front of its face, and then another repeater. So just do go ahead and do that to every single one of these floors. So there we go, once you've done that, it should be looking something like this. Just give you a quick slideshow from the side, just to check that you have done everything right, as it is really essential that you get this right, otherwise the floors are just going to be completely muddled up and the elevator is going to have no clue what to do. Not good. Then just a little quick and easy one over here, you're placing a block of just above each one of these pieces of resting dust. Just do this for every floor. Let's have a light and quickly easy one now. There we go, but the quick and easy stuff is now over. So now this is going to be a really technical part, so we actually get this exactly right. You want to place in an observer facing downwards next to this observer here, so it's next to this block and it's next to this observer. You don't want to place in two droppers also facing downwards underneath like that. You don't want to place in two observers, two droppers, two observers, two droppers. You've probably seen a pattern. Two observers, two droppers, 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 and then finishing off here with just one observer facing downwards. So now coming back to the bottom once again, you want to place in a block next to this very bottom observer like so. You want to place in a dropper just next to this block like so. Now I trapped myself in. You want to find a way to get in. You want to place an observer on top of that dropper, and then another dropper, another observer, another dropper, another observer. Just do this until you get to the top. And then you should finish on a dropper facing upwards just here. So this is where I've just finished off, but as you can see, it's just one lower down in this block, and it's just right there. So now you want to test out if you have done the system right. So you want to come to the top floor, you want to click this, and what should happen is all of these bottom ones, they should all retract. So now even if they didn't all retract, don't worry. So now all you have to do, what you want to do is go ahead and place in a target block just next to this piece of resting dust here. So a target block there, a target block next to that resting dust, so it just redirects it pointing away from this dropper. So on the target block here, and just do this every single one. So now if they didn't all retract the first time, if you just go ahead and click it once again, they now should all retract. And if they aren't still retracting, then you've done something wrong. Also, what should be happening now is you can go ahead and flicker one of these from every single one, and only one should stand. So let's say I flicker it from here, that one retracts. If I go all the way down to the bottom and mess with this one, then that one should retract. There we go, and this one stays extended. And this should be happening from every single floor. So if you want to, you can just go ahead and test it, that the one that you mess about with is the only one that should stay standing. If this works for you, then bravo, you are doing an amazing job so far. And that's the most hardest part already done, so just congratulations for you. So now come all the way to the very top like so. You want to place in a block just next to this comparator like so, with a piece of resting just on it like so, and with a target block just to the left of it, with another block just on top of that, and then come 2 blocks out, destroy this middle block, come 2 blocks out and destroy this middle block. You then place a comparator just pointing into this block with a item frame, and then a redstone torch. Do not do anything to this redstone torch, don't touch it ever again. Now you started off something like this, you then want to complete this pattern all the way going down. So target blocks in the middle, then 2 blocks on the either side. So target block in the middle, 2 blocks either side. Target block in the middle, oh nope, 2 blocks on either side. Target block in the middle, 2 blocks on either side. So it should look something like this. You want to do this so it goes all the way down to the floor, and there you go. You want to stop when you get your target block just one below this observer over here. You want to come back all the way to the top, and you want to place the comparator facing the other way from this comparator. So if this one's pointing this way, you don't want to place one pointing this way. As you can see, that should glow. You don't place a piece of redstone just here with a comparator facing this way with a redstone just here. As you can see, they all should be glowing. You don't place a comparator facing this way with a redstone just underneath it like so. Once again, it should glow. And place a comparator facing this way with some redstone dust over here. Comparator facing this way with some redstone dust over here. Comparator, redstone dust. Basically, you just want to carry on this all the way down. There we go, so you should finish off with the comparator pointing this way. Now if it's glowing by the time you get to the bottom, then well done, you have done it right so far. So then you want to come back down over to here and place in 2 blocks just away from this target block like so. So extend that by another one and place 2 comparators coming away from it just like so. You then place a block up from the comparator, a block down, place some redstone dust on top of this. Another temporary block, get yourself a half lab. You want to place the half lab here, destroy this temporary block, then just place 2 redstone comparators coming away from this like so. So this one is on a half slab, however this one is not. You then place a comparator from this direction going into one, and then place 2 blocks with both which have redstone dust on top of them. Now you want to change this comparator, you want to left click it so the little thing just turns on at the front. You then place in another 2 solid blocks and then another 2 half slabs. And then place in 2 redstone repeaters just like so. Another comparator, once again, put that so the little thing at the front turns on, called subtract mode, but the little thing turns on, it's way simpler. Then to put a piece of redstone dust going into that, it should turn off. You then want to place in a block just coming away from it like so, with another block just coming down like so. You want to place in a piece of redstone dust on both of these. You want to place a block right here with a repeater going off into that direction, then place in 2 blocks up, coming up like so, with a repeater going off into this direction. You want to place in a block with a piece of redstone dust on top of it like so, going ahead into another block which is in front of it. You want to place a piston facing this way like so, with a piece of obsidian just to the left of it. You want to place in a temporary block just to the right like so, with a sticky piston facing that way. Destroy this temporary block. Then you want to come back over to here and you want to place in block coming all the way until you get the second one from the very last. Then you want to come a block up, another block to the right like so. You want to place in a repeater going into that pole over there. You just want to run redstone wire going all across here like so. Once again, place in a block just in front of it like so, with a piston on it like so. Then place a temporary block here and place a bit of obsidian just above that like so. And then you want to place in a piece of obsidian just to the right. You want to place another temporary block here, and then a piston facing towards that piece of obsidian. Destroy this temporary block. Then get yourself a lever, and for now you just want to place it over here, and just activate these 2. These should push both of these pistons. Then place in just a block over here like so, with a redstone repeater going into it set to 4 ticks. Place 3 more blocks just behind it like so. You can place a redstone repeater once again set to 4 ticks here, then 2 pieces of redstone dust here. Now do the same thing to the other side, so just this time just miss the block over here. You want to place a redstone repeater set to 4 ticks going into this piece of obsidian. 3 blocks, no, you are a dropper mate. Piece of redstone dust. Repeater set to 4 ticks and then some redstone dust. You want to place in 2 blocks here like so, with some redstone dust on top of that like so. An observer facing upwards once again with a piece of redstone dust. You now want to place a temporary block just to the right of this, with another block underneath it like so. So it should be there. You then want to go ahead and place in a redstone torch just underneath this observer like so. It should activate these pistons, but no need to worry about it. Just let that do the thing. You want to place in 4 blocks just like so, and a block just in front of this very end one over here, with a block to the right of it. You want to place in redstone dust there, but the other one you want to place in 2 redstone repeaters, both of which are set to 4 ticks. Then over on this side you want to do the same thing, so 2 redstone repeaters, but this time facing the opposite way. Once again set to 4 ticks, so this should create a redstone clock just going round and round, and this should be activating over and over again. But for now, just to stop this, you want to place another lever over here and hold that down, and you don't want to be hearing that all the way through. Torture. You then need to get some furnaces, and you want to place in 1 here, just 1 next to that, so 4 in there, and you also want to place in 4 over here, like so. There we go. So it should be looking something like this. You want to get a whole lot of sticks, like a lot of sticks, like a lot of sticks. So then facing this away, in this furnace over here, so the one which is next to coming out of this comparator, you want to place in 42 sticks. So just go ahead and get 42 sticks, and just chuck it into that furnace over here. Then the one to the right of it, you want to go ahead and get 55 sticks. So once again, just go ahead and get 55 sticks, 1 more, and then just put it into that furnace. And then the one right to that, so 1, 2, 3, and then this one, you need to go ahead and place in a stack and 5 sticks. Like so. And then one next to that, so the 4th one to the right over here, you want to place in a stack and 19 sticks. There we go. Then on this furnace over here, so the 5th one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this one, you don't put anything in it, don't put anything into that one. But the one to the left, you want to go ahead and place in just 1 stick. And then the one to the left of that, so this one, you want to go ahead and place in 14 sticks. So 14 sticks. And then the last one over here, you want to go ahead and place in 28 sticks. 28 sticks. So now what you want to do, if you want to test it, so you want to put this redstone torch so it is pointing to the bottom. And the system, whoops. So you want to first of all unflick this lever, and then go ahead and unflick this lever. Now what it should do after you've done this, is you want to make sure that it goes and should land on when it gets to 0. So once it's locked itself, you want to check this furnace over here, and if it's the one that has no sticks in it, then it does it right. So then come and stand next to this target block over here, facing downwards, and you want to place in observer just coming away from that furnace over here. So the furnace which is aligned to this observer. You want to go ahead and place just a load more observers all the way up to the very top. So when you get to the very top over here, so it is aligned with this repeater, you want to stop there. Okay, so now for the actual elevator. So coming down to the bottom over here, you're placing 2 solid blocks like so. These are going to be the floor of your elevator. Then you're placing a temporary block just to the left of this, right on this observer, with a sticky piston facing that way, so towards that item frame. You're placing a piston once again just facing upwards like so. So sticky piston, piston. You don't want to go block, sticky piston, block, sticky piston, block, sticky piston, block, sticky piston. You want to do this until you get to the very top. There we go. So just do it until it is in line with one above this second to last target block. So it should be looking something like this. And then what you want to go ahead and do is you want to get some pistons and some solid blocks out. You want to go piston, block, piston, block, piston, piston, block. You want to place some pistons in front of every one of these sticky pistons. Make sure they are facing upwards so the elevator doesn't push you down instead of up. Yeah, sort of the opposite of what an elevator is meant to do. There we go. Then when you get to the very top over here, you want to place in another solid block with a piece of obsidian just above it like so. And I messed that. Just don't click that. So then once again come back down to the bottom over here and place in 2 blocks just coming away from this, then place in blocks just going all the way to the top. And this time do go to the very top, so this one, so in line with the top of this. Now do this to the other side. There we go. Then just on this right pillar over here, you want to destroy every time that the pillar comes in line with this floor. So we want to place a gap here, put 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 a gap here, and then finally just one over here. You then place a solid block just on top of this last sticky piston over here with a block just to the side of it. You then place in alternate blocks, so every time you see one of these blocks, you want to place in another block. Just put blocks next to every one of these solid blocks on to the right of it. And that was a mouthful. And then finally just place one over here where a block should have been, but it isn't there. So it should be looking something like this from the back in case you wanted to check. Make sure you are doing everything right and not making a massive dinosaur, because that's no good. So then you want to come 2 blocks from each of these rows, destroy this middle block. So 2 block, destroy this middle block, 2 blocks, destroy this middle block, 2 blocks, destroy this middle block. Yeah, you get the drill. Do this all the way down. So once you've done that, it should be looking something like this, just going all the way down like so. You don't want to go back up to the top, and you want to not place redstone dust here, but you want to place some redstone dust over here. You don't want to miss one, another piece of redstone dust, miss one, another piece of redstone dust, miss one, another piece of redstone dust, and you get the idea. Just do this until you get all the way to the bottom. Now you should be left none on the bottom and also none on the very top. If that's right, then you've done it correctly. So well done, just give yourself a pat on the back. So now you have to do the basically opposite to the other side. So as you can see, there's redstone dust here, but miss a block here. Redstone dust here, but miss a block here. You get the drill. So just keep on doing this until you get all the way down to the bottom. So whether there's no redstone dust on this side, there's going to be redstone dust on this side. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So now, just like we did over here with the target blocks, you want to do the same thing but with glass. So in between these 2 layers, you want to place in 1 glass box. Just pillar up 2 like so. Pillar up to like so, destroy the block. So literally just every between all of these layers like so, you want to be doing this. So keep on doing this all the way you get to the top. And then we go, once you've got to the top, you want to get your repeaters out. And just like we did it with the comparators over here, you want to alternate it every time you go down. So the rest of just into here, so you place the repeater coming away from that, going down into this one. Then the repeater going this way. And then you want to place the repeater going this way. And then one going this way. Then one going this way. You get the drill. You just want to do this going all the way down to the very bottom glass. There we go. So then what you want to go ahead and do is you want to come to the back of all these pistons like so. You need to place in 2 blocks here like so, and then every iron block or whatever solid block that isn't a sticky piston, you want to be doing this too. Just go ahead and do this all the way to the top. So 2 blocks behind all of these blocks. Then once you get to the top like so, you want to then go ahead and place your redstone dust on all of these blocks. Now don't worry if it links up to these, it really doesn't matter. And there we go. So now you want to go ahead and do something a little bit more challenging, and you want to go ahead and place a block just above this piece of redstone dust like so. You want to then place a 1 tick with redstone repeater going that direction. You want to go ahead and place a block in front of that with a redstone torch on the side of it. You want to go ahead and place a block just on top of that like so. The redstone repeater set to 3 ticks going the other way with another block in front of it like so. You then want to place a redstone torch on top of that, and then another block on top of that, and then another redstone repeater, and we have just started the whole cycle again. So another block in front of that, another redstone torch, another block, another 3 tick delay repeater, another block, another redstone torch, another block, another 1 tick delay repeater, another block. You get the draw. You just want to do this all the way until you get to the very last redstone dust. This can take a very long time. I'm almost there, and there we go. I have reached the top. As you can see, all of these pistons should now be extended. Don't worry, we'll get them to retract later. And then just finally, to top it all off, you want to place in a redstone torch just on top of this with another block on top of that with a redstone torch just going into that piece of redstone dust. So now what you want to go ahead and do is you want to come all the way back down here, and you want to place in blocks just along all these redstone torches like so. But what you want to do is you want to alternate it. So you want to place on a piece of obsidian on the very first one, but then a normal block on the second one. So obsidian, normal block, obsidian, normal block, obsidian. You get the drill. So go ahead and just do this all the way up till you get to the top, and place in one last bit of obsidian just right at the top here. So you want to place in 2 blocks just like so on every single level. So 2 blocks here, then once again 2 blocks here, and then 2 blocks there, 2 blocks here, and then finally just 2 blocks there. Then every obsidian you want to go ahead and place a 1 tick delay repeater just going into that block like so. But on the normal blocks you want to place in a piece of redstone dust. On obsidian it's a repeater going into the block. Normal block is just singular redstone dust. So repeater, redstone dust, repeater, redstone dust, until you get to the very last one. So then you want to go ahead and come to every obsidian block, and you want to place in a piston just going into that obsidian. So you want to go ahead and place in a piston so that it's facing the obsidian so that the piston will never actually extend. Just go ahead and do this to every piece of obsidian. There we go. And I just want to go ahead and place in a redstone torch just on every one of these pistons. Then finally you just want to go ahead and place in a piece of redstone dust just on every one of these blocks. So on all the blocks that are in between, so we'll go piston, then a block, then a piston, nope. What am I saying? Basically just all of these gaps you want to go ahead and place in a piece of redstone dust. So then you want to go ahead and come to every single one of these floors, and you want to place in an iron door. You want to stand here, you want to place it this way. So it is to the left hand side. You just want to go ahead and do this to every single one of the floors. Yeah, you may have to place in the floor as well. So floor, door, and there we go. Make sure you just place in 1 block behind this very bottom repeater over here. I must have missed it. So then you want to come to the very bottom, and you want to place a block just on top of this piece of obsidian over here, and a block to the left. You then want to place 2 hoppers just coming away from this block. Whoops. You then want to place a hopper going into that hopper like so. So far it is just an L shape of hoppers. You then want to place another hopper facing this way going into this hopper. Then another hopper just going this way into this hopper. So far the hopper trail goes like this. So it goes this and then all the way around. You then want to place in a hopper facing into that hopper like so, and then there's 2 more hoppers just behind that. So in total you should have 8 hoppers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the next floor would be this floor like so. You would start off on this top observer like so. So you come out 3, destroy this temporary 2 blocks. You're placing 2 hoppers behind it, a hopper going into that hopper, a hopper going into that hopper, another hopper going into that hopper, a hopper going into that one, and then 2 more hoppers behind it. So the formation looks like this from the bottom, just so you don't end up muddling up your hoppers, as that's no good fun. Then once again you'll come to the next very top observer like so. It's going to be every one of these top observers you are going to have to do this. Come out 3, destroy the 2 temporary blocks, place in 2 hoppers, a hopper going into that block, another hopper, whoops, hopper, hopper, and then 2 more hoppers. Just go ahead and do this to every single floor. And there we go. So now you want to come back down to the very bottom one like so. And you want to place in a block here. You want to place 2 temporary blocks here. Destroy that to 1. Then 2 temporary blocks here. Like its little triangle thing. And you want to go ahead and place in 8 pieces of redstone just on all the tops of these hoppers. Like so. So then of course we come to the second floor and do the exact same thing. Just go ahead and place in a lot of redstone, and then you want to go ahead and place in your diamond formation, so that one, and finally this one, and then place in your last piece of redstone dust, so it makes sure that none of this redstone dust turns on. Then just go ahead and do this to every one of the floors. Now it turns out you do not need these top layer of hoppers over here, so this one singular top level you do not need. As if you look, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different hoppers, and we only have 8 floors, so yeah, you don't need the very top one. So then what you want to go ahead and do, you want to come to the very top layer over here. You want to place in 2 temporary blocks here. You want to place an observer facing downwards on the very top one, an orange concrete just below it, and then a redstone torch just on the side like that. You want to come to the layer below and you want to do the exact same thing. You want to put an observer coming away from these hoppers, if I can do it. There we go. A block in front of it, and then a redstone torch. The same thing for the one below, so observer, block, redstone torch, and just keep on doing this until you get to the very last layer. And there we go. So now you want to come head back around to the bottom, and you want to place in a temporary block here, destroy this one, and then you want to go ahead and place in a block at every one of these torches. So 1, 2, 3, and just go ahead and do this until you get to the very top torch. And there we go. You actually want to come one more up, just like so, and then one more across there. And finally, just one more across from this redstone torch. So then coming right on the bottom, you want to place a piece of redstone just on this block. Then you want to go ahead and miss 1, redstone, miss 1, redstone, miss 1, redstone. Just do this until you get all the way to the top. There we go, so the very last top one should be on redstone. And then this one's just blank. So now starting at the bottom, you want to go ahead and get yourself a comparator. And then you want to place in a block just below to the right of this torch. Nope, just you want to place a comparator going into it so it would power the block and then the redstone. And once again, do this to list levels. So you want to place a block here, then a comparator so it would power the redstone. Another block here, then a comparator, another block here, and comparator. Just do this until you get to the very last redstone dust. And there we go. Now you want to come to the very top like so. You want to destroy this top observer like so. You want to place an observer coming out of this observer with a block in front of its face. You don't want to place like an L shape of blocks just going on here with the redstone dust in front of them. You don't want to place a redstone repeater just on top of this observer and watch it just slow down. It's just so satisfying. Oh, I could watch it all day. So now you want to go ahead and get yourself 8 different items. These can be any items. I'm just using sticks. I have a bunch left over. So what you want to do is you want to place in 1 stick just in this top hopper over there. You then want to go ahead and destroy this repeater. This should make that turn off and the whole thing flow. You then want to go ahead and place in a torch into this second hopper like so. You want to go ahead and place your redstone repeater back. This should make that turn off and then the whole thing flow. You then want to go ahead and place a stick into this third hopper thing like so. Once again, go and destroy this repeater. This should make the whole thing flow and that will disappear. You then want to go ahead and place in a twig into the 4th hopper from the top. You then want to do the same thing. You want to go ahead and place this redstone repeater back. As you can see, that one disappears and the whole thing resets. You then want to go ahead and place a twig into the 5th one from the top. Once again, go back up and destroy this redstone repeater. That one should go, and you move on to the next one. So place a twig into this one, you go back up, place another repeater, that one should go, you place one in the second one, then you go all the way back up, destroy this, That one goes, and it goes back into this one. Then finally place your last twig into that one. Once again, come all the way up to the top, place your hopper back, and now we should be back at the start. So now this one activates. Now just to check that you have done it right, you want to quickly break and destroy this one really fast. Oops, or not. But anyway, if we go ahead and do the whole repeater placing and breaking thing again, as you can see, the lights should turn on one by one every time you do it. If they are doing this, then well done, you've done a good job. But make sure they are doing this, just go all the way down and check that you have done it correctly. So you just want to come to the top item frame like so, and you want to change it so it is pointing to the very first floor. Just change it so that it's pointing to the very floor. Then you want to go back over here to check that this one is empty. If the furnace which is in front of this comparator is empty, or at least it's going to be, then well done. So you then want to change this redstone line so that it is on, so that the only comparator that is on is the very bottom one. So just go ahead and quickly break in place. That should send one signal down, and now the very bottom one is on. So you want to make sure that the only comparator that is on is the bottom one, and believe it or not, we should be done. Now all you have to do to test it is call it to your floor. So I am on the 8th floor, so let me just go ahead and call it, and it should arrive. There we go, it is coming. And there we go. So now let's say you want to go all the way to the 4th floor. All I have to do is click it so it gets to the 4th floor. I get in the elevator. And by the way, you can't clean up the elevator. You can clean up the site, do whatever you want to do it, as long as you don't destroy any redstone. It goes through this little spammy phase until it remembers what floor you are on. And then you'll go straight to that floor. There we go. I'm now going to the 4th floor. And I stop on the 4th floor. So let's say I want to go all the way down to the 2nd floor. Let me just go ahead and do this quickly. Basically, I'm just testing to see that it works. So test if yours works, and if it does, then well done. Anyway, that is all from me. The tutorial is done. If yours isn't working or you have any questions down below, then please do let me know, as I'll try my best to answer them. Anyway, that is all from me, and I will see you all later. Have fun with your new elevator.